Welcome to self-discoverywisdom.com, formerly known as Self-Discovery Media. On these podcasts, you're going to hear people who speak from the heart. They've taken the journey in life. Many things have happened to them, but they've changed it to happening for them. And in their strength, their courage, they've discovered their abilities and their wisdom, and they are now sharing it here with you. Do enjoy each show. We bring it to you with love and knowing that it's going to help you on your journey of life. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Ignite Your Heart and Soul right here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. I am your host, Sarah Troy, and my wonderful repeat guest is Alec Dumas. He has just contributed to a book, first-time author. The book is A Journey of Riches, A Power of Self-Discovery, Insights to Uncover Your Divine Wisdom. Well, you know that's right up my street, as this is called Self-Discovery Wisdom. So it's all about the power of self-discovery. And everybody wins, including him, and expanding global influence through. He's excited to have this book baby birthed into the world, and he has a free gift for everybody. The author reveals journey from isolation to impact in his new book chapter. Everybody wins, including me, expanding the global influence through communication. He shares this transformative journey from childhood isolation to becoming a leader focused on empowering others. The deeply personal narrative and part of the journey of riches and the power of self-discovery traces Alex's struggles with identity, addiction, before finding purpose through connection and contribution. Alex recounts pivot moments, including meeting his wife Sarah and co-creating the Ultimate Experience event, which launched his career as a speaker and a coach. He shares his key insights on communication, leadership that form foundation of his work empowering leaders of color. We did a wonderful show on his journey beforehand. Please come back and listen to that. The link is on the show page, or you just go to selfdiscoverywisdom.com and put in Alec Dumas, Dumas, and it's Alex, Alex. And you will see both shows there. And I do encourage you to go and listen to that one as well. But today we are talking about the book and being that first time author. And here we are. Yes, proud baby. I know what it feels like. And, it's being part of an anthology is a wonderful way to be a part of a book, because not everybody's got a whole book in them straight away, or it's just not their forte. But that being a part of an anthology, there's so many benefits to it. One, introduction to you and to the writing, but also the community of everybody else that's in the book. So it kind of builds the story upon story upon story, which then brings on a whole, which is so beautiful. So to tell us the experience of writing this chapter and what it revealed about you along the way. Welcome back, Alex.
Hey, Sarah, great to be back. Thank you for that warm welcome and awesome introduction. And to answer your question, as we kind of spoke off air about it, this was at times excruciating, agonizing process. And not because I don't like writing. Writing has been something that's been an interest of mine for forever. I'm named after the author, Alexandre Dumas. So literally like in my blood,
Yeah.
writing is something that is a part of me. And at some point I was going to write a book or have something published, but it was agonizing in the aspect of kind of reliving different things that happened in my life and going back into that mindset of like where was I when I was
Mm.
having these challenges as a boy, and then as a young man and young adult finding his way in the world, and then as a grown man, a parent, a father, a husband, and the different challenges that go on there. So that part of it was definitely scary to dig up and
Revisit.
unearth. Yeah, revisit for sure. And on the other side, the flip side, the place where the treasure is I got to really reconnect with how resilient I've been in my life, how these different themes of connecting with people, with collaborating, with being creative and expressing myself through focused commitment, how that's created miraculous things in my life, or like miraculous changes, and it's benefited so many other people. And really just looking at what was at this place of self-discovery for me, it was this little element of what we call
Mm.
choice. recognizing, oh, when I was having these struggles, these challenges, I had I'm gonna say deficient way, but just an altered, a skewed way of looking at the world and kind of thinking that this is permanent, that this is how it's always going to be. Maybe there is an opportunity for me and shifted that to, well, I can create things I want. I can do anything I want. I can actually, I can benefit from other people who are on the same path as I am and who actually can support me and help me. And as long as I ask and I'm willing to receive, I
Mhm.
get the things I want, which is really fascinating for me. So that's in a nutshell what is unearthed for me in this book writing process.
So much to unpack there.
Yeah,
Number one, um, how to ask for help. Because when you are actually in need, you're so busy caught up in the emotion of where you are, you don't know how to ask for help. Or whom to ask to help from. And so that's a big one, which we can elaborate on a little further. But, I feel that revisiting your past, I did this when I wrote my memoir, and I just poured it out. I just poured it out and then, reviewed it and edited it afterwards. And it's like a lot of things kind of like, as I read it back, were, ooh, hmm. And it's like, you know, um, it's almost our inner child trying to reconnect with us and tell us, do you understand the pain I was in? But I see where you're at now. And but don't forget me, type of
yeah,
thing. And it's as we kind of go through that process of unpacking our past, we do see that resilience. We do see, that where that pivot was or how it moved us forward. And there's never any shame or blame because it is what it was, right?
yeah.
But it is acknowledging, why it happened to make sure it never happens again and never gets repeated, but also to acknowledge how far you've come and how much further there is still to go. And I think that's the beautiful reveal when you write something like this, because it is truly that self-discovery. You know the journey, you took it, but when you actually have to condense it down and write it, encapsulated, it's a totally different reveal, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a fascinating process of putting my life into essentially 5,000 words.
Hmm.
And I had moments of where it would just flood open.
Hmm.
My fingers couldn't stop
Yeah.
typing.
Yeah.
Then I would have droughts. I didn't even want to look at the keyboard. I couldn't
Hmm.
even open the document. And then finding ways to get creative with it. Like, "Oh, I'm just going to type one sentence today. That's it."
Hmm.
And then who really stops at one sentence? That one becomes two, and all of a sudden you have another paragraph again, and then you're trimming words and doing all these things. And yeah, it for me in my chapter, I decided to write it in a way where I be where I'm me, where I'm
Yeah.
creation in motion. Everything about me is expressive and creative. And I thought, what's a way that I've never read a chapter before in a similar type of book? I decided, since I'm a movie fan, I love plays, things of that nature, theater. I just wanted to craft it in these different acts. So I have my prologue, I have act one, act two, and I go through the whole thing. And I didn't necessarily do dialogue. I didn't want to go that far with it, but just
Hmm.
breaking it up in these different scenes. And that was fun for me because I wanted the audience to kind of see the picture of like, hey, this is what 6-year-old, 7-year-old Alex saw, right? This
Yeah.
is you're in my living room of my mind. You're watching it with me. Then 14, 15, 16-year-old Alex, and then 20, right? Just going through these different phases. And yeah, the self-discovery part of it, like you mentioned, all these things that were unpacked, things I forgot, things like, oh yeah, I
Hmm.
forgot that this happened or this was my reaction, my response to said situation.
Yeah. I think, you'll find as a parent, and this is why we see so many people who have gone through various traumas in life reimpose it on their children unknowingly, unwittingly, because they haven't broken the cycle. They
Yeah,
haven't reviewed the past. They haven't gone in and nurtured that young child and kind of gone through the journey of that self-discovery to let go what does not serve you
right.
and to become someone different out of choice. and not repeat patterning, because this is what we see all the time in society, is people were repeating the patterns of things that were done to them because they don't know how to break it or even aware that there is a pattern there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's important to review the past and like you said, not repeat it or not
Mhm.
ruminate in it and
Or impose
whatever.
it, or
Yeah,
impose it.
impose it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Whatever's happened to you, whatever the things you didn't want to have happen or it could have been different. Yeah, I'll put it like this. I shared in my story that my family, one of the critical moments, really one of my first early conscious memories was this family portrait. My mother, father, my sister, my brothers are in there, and I'm not in the picture, right?
Mm.
And that's only because of a result of I wasn't born yet. That's the only reason.
Right.
It wasn't like they put the crib to the side, like, no, leave him out, right? I wasn't here. I didn't exist. And I think somewhere inside me, logically, I knew that, like I knew that was the truth of it, but emotionally, which
They never
dominant,
updated the photo, which they should have to include you, right?
yeah, they
Yeah.
never did. I made up a story like
Yeah.
immediately on the spot that I don't exist, I'm not here, I'm
Mm.
not important. And one of the things now looking back, and maybe we discussed this on the show, I forgot, but subconsciously, in 2016, my wife and I decided, hey, let's go take family photos. I mean, we had done one with our daughter when she had turned 1 years old, and now our son had just been born in 2015. I'm like, all right, he's a little bit older.
Mhm.
Let's do a family photo together. And I didn't catch this until getting the print of it later on. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm almost identical to my father, minus the hair. But I had a gray suit on, I had a red shirt on. He had the same thing. We're both in ties. We both have kind of like serious. We're 11, but like we still have like serious faces on, and we're almost in the same position, like mirrored. I'm like, and it blew my mind
Mm.
of wow, how powerful the subconscious is, and we've made
Yes.
this a biannual practice, right? Of pictures every 2 years. Me and my family,
Mhm.
so we're due for another one this year. It's been
No
great to just
suit.
watch the growth.
Yeah, no suit. Something
No, no, so
casual
yeah,
this
yeah,
time.
yeah. We've definitely been casual in our other photos, but we started that tradition because deep down that was a very important thing for me.
Yes,
I literally was not in the picture, so
exactly.
this
Exactly.
this
And it
caused
probably never
yeah
even crossed their mind
yeah
to go and get another one and include you in, which, of course, for me, I've got albums and albums and albums of my kids and inclusivity because that's who I
right
was, make sure that everybody's equal. That was always the way of my thing, that everybody got treated equally as best as I possibly could. Um, but yeah, for some people, it doesn't kind of cross their mind. You weren't born yet, so that's okay. But for them to think about, well, let's update the picture and
right
include him in there, just probably, they
yeah
probably were not big photo people. But yes, for you, it feels like, well, why am I left out? Why
right
am I not in that? Why don't I count? Why don't
yeah
you take another picture and include me in? All
yeah
right. So, we as kids, we pick things up and kind of take it personally because we don't understand that they just didn't think about it.
right. They're busy. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm the youngest of four children, so four children, early 90s. We're living in
Hmm.
Long Island, New York. I mean, there's a lot going on. They're working, they're doing their things, and it just it just doesn't happen, right?
Right. Not the priority.
There's no moment of slowing down and be like, hey, wait a minute. Oh, we should do something about this. We should like
Yeah.
fix this.
Yeah.
But it's okay. And I say all that not to blame my parents or
No.
blame my family. I had a great upbringing. I had great parents. I have a great life.
Hmm.
But that moment, and then combined with other things, other pieces of evidence I found to like support
Yeah.
that kind of core belief, that shifted my lens in life. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's just what happened for me.
Right. Yes. And what we don't do in raising our children is the psychology around it. It
Mm,
is about I'm a grandmother now, and I was talking to another um a mum, where our kids were brought up at the same time. So she was my bestie and is my bestie. And we were talking about, and I said, like, I kind of feel a little guilty. My daughter sees me with my grandchildren. And she
mm,
said, were you like that with us? And I
Mm.
honestly can't remember. You remember events or things that are happening or situations, but the day to day, you're so busy doing the day to day
Yeah.
that you don't remember, did I? You know, I'm sure I did because I'm a snuggler, cuddle, cuddle, kiss, kiss, devour. That's me. And I know I did do that, but it's like almost feel like robbed of the memories of raising our children,
Yeah.
of those moments that are so precious to me with my grandkids. But as a parent, it's more about next meal on the table, after school activities. Have you done
Yeah.
your homework? Brush your teeth, all of that type of thing that you're so in the mix of that you forget to treasure those moments, which I tried to capture as much as I could through photographs so there'll be evidence in the album. But
Mm.
me trying to recall it without that, I can't, and it's, oh, why can't I? So,
No.
I understand from a parent's perspective of how easy it is, and just to go through the everyday and not capture those special moments. But that's not to say those special moments weren't there.
Right. And I'm fortunate that I'm in a time of social media where
Yes.
Facebook is essentially my scrapbook.
Please back your photographs up because Facebook is inclined to lose things. So, yeah,
Yes.
always back
Yeah.
them up to the cloud somewhere. Um,
Yeah.
but also, the tangible album that you can open. Google will
Yeah.
take them and you can make an album out of them, or you can download them and go and get an album done. Because there's something about being able to turn the page, all sitting on the couch together and looking at this and, oh, what about this and what about that, which
Yeah.
is different from the digital. So, as an oldie here, I'm saying make sure you have albums too that capture those moments in life that you can turn the page on. But I think that's what it is. As a child, we perceive something one way, right? But when, as an adult, when we look back, and especially when you've done the inner journey like you've done, um, you look at it and go, gosh, it was totally different to what I perceived it to being. I can let that go now.
Right. Yeah. That's the key in it. On the back of this rock, I don't know if you can see it
I
clearly.
can't see the words, no.
Hold on. Let me see if I can. So it's just like this initial of
Oh, yeah.
LTSG,
Yes.
right? So let that stuff go.
Yeah.
And it's just a reminder for me, right? I hold this whenever I'm usually doing a speaking engagement,
Mm-hmm.
podcasts, and even right now we're talking. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just a reminder, just like let that stuff go, just drop it. It
Yeah.
can be that simple
Mm-hmm.
as that. Simple, not easy, of course,
Yes.
because we have our emotional attachments to these things, right? It's personal. Like you said,
Yeah.
taking it personally.
Yeah.
I was probably the king of if there was a if there was a list, right? You were on my list of like, oh, you've offended me here. And oh, you did me wrong. And you said what? So I'm keeping score. I'm counting up and but they can't even hold a candle to like the judgments of myself of what I'm saying
Mm.
about myself and the wheels turning all day of you're not enough, you're not good
Yeah.
enough, you're insignificant. Like it's exhausting.
And why? Because
Yeah.
where does that come from? That comes from not attaching to the inner self, not
Yeah.
attaching to your soul, your heart, and your spirit. That comes from the fear of judgment from others,
Yeah.
fear that you're not living up to other people's expectation. And I say that societal expectation is the damning of our spirit, because unless we come from the inside out and embrace our own beautiful essence and own it, flaws and all,
Yeah.
right? And embrace who we are from the inside out, we will always be a slave to the desire of somebody else's opinion. Well, really, somebody else's opinion doesn't really matter in the whole big scheme of things. Is how do you feel about yourself that really matters.
Yeah. 100%.
And it's getting there, isn't it? Letting go of all of that, and keeping score on things. And I mean, I understand about judgment of yourself. I've still got things today that pop up. Why did I say that to that woman? What were you thinking of? You didn't think,
Yeah.
Sarah, you just blurted out. And it's like, let it go, and it's like, make sure you don't do it again. because now
Yeah.
you're aware, and when you're aware, you can care, right?
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, it's a simple game of noticing, right? Of
Yeah.
rather than the judgment of like, oh, why did I do that? I play a game with myself at times, and I'll just be like, wasn't it interesting? I just thought that, or did I said
Mm,
that? Case in point, this morning, right? I might do a podcast episode about this. I was on social media. I saw somebody say, "Oh, I've been banned from these groups for 30 days." Something really silly. He's like, "I was thinking about leaving them anyway." And my
mhm.
thought was immediately like, "Well, why are you blasting on Facebook? And like, if you wanted to leave, why don't you just leave? Like, why did you
Yes.
wait for a prompt to
Yes.
force you to leave?" And then I've caught myself like, "Well, why does it matter to me? Like, why?
Mm,
Here I am. I'm in the story now. I'm in the drama with them." I'm like, "Wait a minute. Like, I have nothing to do with this. I didn't even,
mm.
this wasn't even aware to me until I was just scrolled. So am I going to choose to give this my energy? Isn't that interesting? Just to
Yes.
notice that of something small. That's a minute thing, right? In my country, right, in the United States, we're in a season right now where we're getting ready for an election, and
Hmm.
people are you talk about batteries charged,
Oh, yeah.
folks on whatever side they believe in or that they support are having their thoughts shared. But you know what? That's the beauty of the freedom of what we have here, and also the challenge, right? As humans, right? Because you could
Yes.
say something. I could be like, Sarah, I don't like your sweater. You're like, well, I don't like your shirt, and my sweaters are better, and shirts, no, shirts are better, and
Yeah, and all of a sudden we're at World War Four. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And it serves nobody. It's like bad candy. It
hmm,
feels like you just, like the peanuts you can't stop eating, but you
yeah,
know it's bad for you. And it's like this is where we have to have this big word restraint, right? I know you would like to comment, but let it go. Right? It's not worth it to engage because we've got to remember social media, especially, all of those medias out there are run on algorithms. So
yeah.
you respond, they're going to know that's something that you want to respond to, and they'll give you more and more of it. And the more
Yeah.
and more you respond, the more and more they're like, you know, you're hysterical, right? So it is, if you don't respond, it's not going to pick on that algorithm. Respond to things that are upbeat, that are embracing, that are supportive,
Yeah.
that are illuminating. And then more of that will come, and which will feed you more. But yes, it's just don't respond. And
Yeah.
believe me, I'm here in Canada and I see some stuff about a certain person. Would I love to respond? And it's like, let it go. Watch it, agree, but you don't have to say anything.
That's yeah, don't have to participate.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And that's the thing, isn't it? Participation. So many people are participating in the exterior of life, like responding on social media or like, you know, um, bad talking about someone, or just I hate my boss, I hate my job, instead of
Mm,
doing something about it. Is but are you participating in your own well-being,
yeah.
in that self-discovery of what you need, that fortifies you, that makes you stronger, that makes you abundant? Are you participating in that, or are you pointing the finger and saying it's everybody else's fault that I feel this way, and you're ignoring the three fingers pointing back at you and go, but your accountability, your responsibility, what are you doing about it?
Yeah. I I look at it like there's this big jackpot at the end of negativity,
Hmm.
right? It's like, oh, the chemical reaction, right? The dopamine. Uh, it- I was joking about this with somebody the other day. I was on a coaching call with them, and I was sharing, hey, but have you ever shown up to a office building, like something happened in the morning, maybe you almost get sideswiped on traffic, right? Somebody cuts you off, you get mad, you flip them off or whatever, and then go into the office. It's 9 a.m., 9:15, whatever, and you're repeating the story. And then it's 12. It's like, hey man, that guy, boy, I'm having a terrible day because of that guy. It's 3:15 now. You know what? That guy really like, hold on. There's this whole gap of time, like an
Uh-huh.
incident happened, maybe ra frazzled you for a second, rattled you, whatever. Okay, it's over.
Yes.
And now you've carried this person, you've taken this person hostage with you along for the day. Like, bring your kid to work today. No, it's like, I bring my enemy today. I
Yeah.
bring my excuses to work today.
Ah.
And he's the reason why. And then she and her
Mm.
and whew.
Mm.
how do you carry all that all the time?
It's exhausting. It's
Yeah,
draining and it's
yeah.
unproductive. It serves absolutely nobody. We have emotions for a reason. They're an indication of how we feel with things that are happening around us. Acknowledge the emotion, right? Spend the emotion, but don't become emotional about the emotion.
Well, it's the addiction to it. It's like I need
It
another
is.
hit. I need
Yeah.
someone else to join.
Yeah.
Like, boy, this guy is a jerk in traffic. Like, yeah, he sure is. And I had somebody, and now they're both like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, ooh,
Yeah.
we got it. All right, I got to get a nice little hit of negativity, a little
Yeah.
hit
The
of
validation to
sarcasm.
feel this way. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. You know what, Sarah, you and now like I said, it's funny looking back at this book, writing it and reviewing my life because if I had social media available to me, it would have been a tale of two worlds. This kid who's in darkness, who is frustrated, who's angry, who wants to see the world burn. He's just out of his mind. He's
Hmm.
dead. That's the best way to put it. And then someone looking to be collaborative and help expand people's thoughts and consciousness and look at elevating Black excellence, elevating leaders of color, elevating different groups that are ignored or
Hmm.
misrepresented, and being a voice for them, being an advocate for them, right? Using my voice one of two ways to destroy or to rebuild.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. That's the point. Yes. You know, in the 12 years I've been doing this, I've heard many a beautiful story, of people or some of the things that have happened to them that never should happen to any living being, never mind a human being. And yet they chose
Hmm.
not to be the victim anymore, to go through the stages of healing and to step out and to make sure that they become that illuminating light of you can be there and you can talk about what happened to you without feeling any emotion to it, because that's what get to the stage where you can talk about things that happen, but you're no longer emotionally attached. It no longer has an effect on you. You're not a prisoner to the emotion anymore, but
Yeah.
now you're actually sharing how you've got through it so that others that are in the midst of it know how to come out of it, right? Become that beacon of hope. We have the choice to stay the victim or to let it go and let it empower us to find strength within us to rise up and rise above.
Yeah. It's it's a choice that also kind of going back into the kid bag for a second, right? Comic books, the great line from Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility.
Yes.
And that's something that I know for myself I shied away from because I would have these flashes of doing great things and having experiences and being on top of the world. And the old programming, the old
Hmm.
stories, the old talking, self-talk would sound like, can you handle this? Are you
Mm.
sure that you are meant to
Yeah.
lead or hold fort this way?
Hmm.
Oh my God. Like, and I'm gonna retreat back to that default identity
Yes.
versus continuing to design, continuing to create. And it that could sound exhausting to somebody like, man, I have to be this person every day. Like, well, you've already chosen one way of being that's now an automatic. Something happens to you, your response is typically maybe avoid it or get angry at it or blame somebody else, not own up to it, right? Try to cover up. When you get into a space of, all right, I live by my word, I'm authentic, I'm held accountable for what I say, what I do, the people that I'm around, that I surround myself with, the projects I attach myself to. There's also power in that. There's a lot of fun in that, knowing that, okay, I'm responsible for this.
Yeah.
Nobody else is. Sarah didn't do this to me.
Hmm.
Uh, President so and so didn't do this to me. This group, this ethnic group, this gender group, nobody did this to me. Like I created this, so now I get to figure out a solution. That's
Mm.
power.
Again, back to when you're aware you care. I care to change it. I,
Yeah,
I I care to not put that burden upon me of constantly feeling less than. That
yeah,
was a program. that I picked up somewhere along the line that, is still running, but just like, slowing down our computer, it slows us down. So when I'm aware, I care to do something about it. And it's
Yeah.
every time it pops up because they do. Old patterns do keep, whoo, hello, remember
Uh,
me,
it's here to
right?
stay. It's a
Yeah,
life. It's
yeah,
a unwelcome traveler,
yes.
a
But it's,
stowaway.
you look at it and go, uh-huh, I'm aware of you, but I'm
Yeah.
sorry. The door is still closed and keep it closed. But we also sometimes have to think about, well, why am I feeling this? Why have you popped up? What is happening in my vicinity
Mm,
that has brought it up? Is there something I should be aware of outside of this emotion that's causing it or bringing up this memory? Am I meant to do something about it? Or is it just simply something that's popped up in a moment of vulnerability that I could say, it's okay, it was only a moment, you're still not invited back in?
yeah. I'll even backtrack for myself. I just jokingly called it a stowaway and unwelcome guest. And to be fair, that feeling or that response that was created during a moment where we needed that,
Yeah.
right? We needed it for protection, needed it to process and to guide us through to the next step of an incident or a conversation, whatever it is that turned that knob inside, like, oh, I don't feel good about this. This isn't right. You get that gut feeling, that
Yeah.
sickening feeling inside. So it was created for a reason. I think the thing that to echo what you say about being aware of it is just like, oh, it's interesting that you're back now.
Hmm.
What's happened, right? And this is a
Yes.
place of being curious, giving yourself space to be reflective
Hmm.
and
Safe. You're
explore.
safe. You're safe where you're at now to look
Yeah,
at. Go deeper. Why are you here? Because you know you're not going to fall back down the rabbit hole,
yeah, yeah.
right?
That's true.
I mean, I always say to people when they get, they've come so far and they go, oh, but I can't move any further forward. I don't know what my blockage is. I said, it's purely a pause.
Hmm.
It's a pause, turn around and look at how far you've come. It wants you to reflect on where you used to be. And because you put the work in, look at where you are now. Knowing where you are now, you now have a clearer vision of where you're meant to go.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, that sight beyond sight at
Mm,
times, and yeah, take an inventory of that. And one of the practices that has been helpful for me, even just with the book right now, and this might sound like kind of kooky to people, but I do my best to collect evidence. I talk about this in my book chapter a bit. And when I'm working with clients, I call it this game or exercise the courtroom of finding the things to whether they're words of affirmation from people, reviews, testimonials, whatever it is, but those things and connecting it with who you really see yourself as, right? Connecting
mm,
with your core values, your core beliefs, because it can be one thing to be like, Sarah, you're such a nice person. If you're in a state of maybe being insecure,
mm.
that's gonna fly over. You're not even gonna receive that. That won't
Yeah,
stick. But
yeah.
if I'm like, well, Sarah, you're so nice and kind, you're so thoughtful. Thank you for sending me the information. You're so now I'm tying it to something that you know that you do. Like, yeah, I do send out good
Hmm.
quality content. I
Hmm.
do make sure that my guests are taken care of. I do the diligence of making sure they have links, that they're up to speed on things. Yeah, I know that about myself, right? So now your identity matches
Yes.
it. It raises that temperature up.
Yeah.
So I do these things.
Hear that.
I collect my screenshots and I read them to myself, especially in the moments where I'm having those right little Alex
Mm,
starts popping up like,
mm.
"Hey, are you sure you can do this? Like, this is kind of scary. Don't you remember you're the guy who wasn't in the picture? Don't you remember that you're the kid who messed up here and this and that?" And I collect my evidence and I've got to look at, well, this person here is saying that I helped transform their life. This person here is saying that this book is helping me embrace my potential and unlock it. This person here is saying that when they heard me from the stage, they felt I was right. So I'm doing
Yeah.
all these things and I have my proof. I have my exhibit A, B, 3, C,
Yeah.
D, and my question to that other side, I call it the prosecution, right? The limiting beliefs, the disempowering thoughts. My question too is that it's your turn to prove it.
Mm.
You're speaking conjecture. It's hearsay. It's mudslinging. I have, as the kids would call it,
Substance.
receipts. Yeah,
Yes.
I've
Yeah.
got I've got details. I got data.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what we call is proof is in the pudding,
Yeah.
right? Um, I've still got people who think this is just a wee little hobby, and I've been doing it for a while, and they don't realize how serious it is, or really what
Yeah.
the the people that truly see Sarah, like me right now, is truly me. But I'm a little bit of a chameleon. When I'm with other people, I am I reflect what they see of me, which isn't always the 100% me. And I've learned that not everybody can cope with the 100% Sarah. So I give them the amount of Sarah that they can cope with. And for a while, it was always felt like, why don't you see me as
Mm.
me? Why can't you see the essence of me the way others see me, when I'm immersed in this? And I realize they can only see me through the lens of their eyes, of the limitation of the lens of their eyes, right? And we have to just accept that. And again, no blame, because that's where they're at. And so they're only going to see what they need from me or what they feel from me, not going to see the whole me because they're not ready to see it or they haven't at that stage yet. And I think that is part of going to yourself. I'm enough. I know what I've done. I know what I'm achieving. And if
Yeah.
not everybody sees it, it's okay. I know. I know. And
Yeah.
that's really the person that you want to know, that you can get up every morning and go, yes, I'm facing another beautiful day of interviews, right? Or grandma day today, whatever it is. And know that it is enough. And that if not everybody sees it, that's okay, as long as you see it, because not everybody's got the vision to see everything that you do or everything that you are.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough for them. And echoing your point, it's a great opportunity to give them grace,
Yeah,
right? And it's also encouragement to keep going because think about it in our human history, right? As history repeats itself over and over again, people that we may look at as crazy or radical or outrageous in our current time, give it some space, right? Give it some distance. Wow, they were a genius. Malcolm X, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Harriet Tubman, people that we would condemn, we would throw stones at, like, no, 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 we don't want they're wrong. And then,
yeah.
oh, wait a minute. There was something to it.
There's some food for thought here if I just shut up for a moment and listen.
Yeah.
But without those people, they came from the core of their very being, right?
Yeah.
There are people that are very eloquent with words, but you don't feel them.
Yeah.
When it comes from the core of their being, every word has a beautiful weight and a beautiful essence to it. And whether you're against it or not, you're compelled to listen. And I always say, like, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Leave it there long enough, and it's going to realize it's thirsty. So, the more that people and you've seen it through history, the pushback, because what are they talking about? They're talking about foundationally love,
Right.
self-love, love of others, of community, coming together, building together, being creative. They're talking about inclusivity. And they're talking about the power that is within us to be a part of it. And for people that want to still point fingers, your fault, your fault, your fault, the last thing they want is to be told you're responsible for your inclusivity, right? Because they want to blame everyone else, like that person at the office. It's their fault because I got cut off today, right?
Yeah.
So there is a responsibility in igniting our heart and soul and stepping into our essence. And that responsibility is making sure that who we are as a human being and what we are putting out is going to be received authentically and honestly. And we will lay ourselves open for attack from the people that don't want to feel or see us because that means accountability, right? And that's okay if you're true to who you really are and what your message is, then it doesn't matter how many stones are thrown, they'll bounce off you.
Yeah. It makes me think about the Marianne Williamson quote about our greatest fear. And I wonder if it's a matter of we're afraid of our limited potential,
Mm.
or is it in fact that we're not aware of it,
Yeah,
that maybe we think this is it, this is as good as it gets,
yeah.
and really don't give ourselves a fighting chance to go past that cave, right? To embody, as you say, the abundance, to tap into that frequency of
Hmm.
prosperity, whatever it looks like in our lives, right? So is are we afraid of it, or are we afraid that we just don't know? Or maybe we think it's not available for us potentially.
I think it's a combination. You know,
Yeah.
again, the societal dictation. One of the books I put out at the beginning of the year is Our Forgotten Children. It's an anthology around the raising of our children, how wrong we are doing it, how
Mm,
wrong the system is, because it is setting us up to discombobulated adults. It's not embracing the essence and the gift of a child and nurturing that gift into fruition. It
mm,
is about making people conform and compare, you know, the A student, the F student, the
yeah.
this side of the track, that side of the track, you know, the popular and the unpopular. It's a division. Everything about it is a division, and we want inclusivity again. We want people to be embraced for who they are and the essence that they are. Everybody in the orchestra is important, but we've got to know what our own instrument is. And we
Mm,
can't discover that instrument if we are meant to conform to somebody else's ideology of what education is. So, this book was put out as an awareness, again, if you're aware, you care, of how we need to change the system. We don't change the system by government changing it. We change the system by changing ourselves. And the more and more of us that change ourselves, that then come into those systematic areas and change it from within, the more the change happens. But we've got to be willing to be the change. And does that mean, yes, accountability, responsibility,
mm,
stepping up? And let's face it, there are many people that rather stay in the victimization mode, in the I don't care, it's everybody else's fault, because they don't want the responsibility. They don't want the accountability because it means work.
yeah. And not the work that people think. The inner work is the never ending game, right? I
Yes,
have this expression, acronym, I call it ICAN, improving constantly and never ending. And it's
yes.
something I remind myself of, like, yeah, I can. I'm improving. I'm getting better, even through flubs and follies, miscues,
Mhm.
whatever you want to call them. There's something to learn in there. There's some area of growth. There's something that I didn't see at the time.
Yeah.
And now, right, step back or lean back from it. Oh, that's what was missing. That's what I didn't
Mm.
do. Or that's the question I didn't ask prior to. Or next time I have an opportunity, this is what I will do. This is how I'll
Yeah.
prepare. So we can look at it as pieces of data, right? And I say that a lot, not to turn us into robots
Hmm.
or dehumanize things, but just to separate a little bit of the emotional charge
Hmm.
of, oh, I'm wrong. I did this. I'm stupid.
Yeah.
No, no, no. You
You did
didn't
not know.
you didn't know, you did not achieve this goal. You didn't reach this desired outcome at this time.
Hmm.
What did you learn from it?
Yeah.
And if we can continue to be in that process of inquiry, of curiosity, we'll always grow, we'll always expand. I call it building a bigger bubble of influence, of impact, of insights, and that helps everybody, right? If I knew that if you touch the stove and you burn your hand, a hot stove, you burn your hand, but nobody else knew that, well, I have a lot of power now. I could be like, "Oh, touch that stove," and I could make people do it. Or I could be the person that says, "You know what, guys? Hey, hey, watch out! You see when the thing is
Hmm.
red here, that means it's hot. So hot means hurt, and not everybody's going to follow it. People are going to be like, well, I don't really trust that. They'll find out for themselves. It's fine. But you would think more than enough would people would be like, you know what? I trust what he's saying. He has proof of a burn. He's got this wound here, this scar. I'm going to believe, I'm going to trust in what they say. And I think that at the end of the day, that's what it always boils down to, like trust in ourselves and trust in other people. We're all connected. We all are on this floating rock together. So we got to find a way to make this work, collaborate, stay connected with each other, continuing to be curious
Yes.
where we all coming from and what we're experiencing.
I think we're at a time in history like never other before. Not only has social media opened up the world to us where we can communicate with people from anywhere in the world, but it's also made us mistrust because of false information. Now
Yeah.
we have AI, which has the ability to change. You know, the picture was 1,000 words. Well, even now we can't trust the picture. Is it AI
Or the
generated,
voice.
or the voice, or anything else? So,
Yeah.
but those are the negative sides of things. But I believe this. I feel that everything is always there for a reason. And I think that reason is if you come from the very core of who you are, the very core of your essence, the core of your belief, your heart and your soul wisdom, and you trust that, it will let you know if something's real or not, because
Yeah.
you are feeling the truth, even if you're not seeing the truth. So, is it true? Is it not? Trust the gut, trust the heart, trust the soul. Trust the
Yeah.
spirit, right? Don't always trust your eyes or trust your ears. Trust how it makes you feel. And you'll get to know your little doubt signatures and your, yeah, go for it signatures, right? And then and think this is something that we as a human beings, because we haven't been the beings, we've just been the humanoids, just
Mm.
surviving and cutthroating. As long as I survive, I don't care what happens to anyone else. Well, the being is about inclusivity, where if I hurt, you hurt, right? And it's about love, and it's about sharing that love and empowering each other and uplifting each other. And well, the more we step into the beingness, the more we're going to be able to trust each other from the heart and soul and not from the false content. So I feel that the false content is there for us to go in and pay attention to the other wisdom that lies within.
Yeah. What you're speaking to is a lot of the work that I do with leaders and organizations where this shift, especially with the rise of the pandemic and the aftershocks of it,
Mhm.
and everything that these past few years have taught us and have awakened in us is this value of empathy, of how important it is. And that doesn't mean you're bawling, crying at everything.
Yes.
You're hypersensitive to other people, but it gives you a chance to just take a breath and put humanity back in leadership of
Mm.
like, well, this person's going through a rough time. Maybe they had a parent that passed. They've got a new child in their home. They maybe a child's leaving, right? Headed for
Mm.
college, things happen, right? Or whatever the situation is, you're tapped into it. I
Yeah.
think the days of the stoic,
Yeah.
cold-hearted,
Uh-uh.
fist to the table,
Uh,
dictator type of leadership is rapidly dissolving. And
yeah. Thank
those from
God.
that old realm, that's scary. And I get it. It's scary, like this way of how we thought was how it was supposed to be. Oh no, other people don't agree with that, and now I'm attacked. Well, is there a way that you can
Adjust.
contribute, yeah, adjust and contribute in the space of, you know what you're all talking about, that isn't how we did it, but this is how we kind of ran through this, or this is how we achieved success. Maybe there's a way that we can adopt some of you, you can adopt some of us and assimilate that.
Mm. Back to
There's
when you're
value on both sides. There's value on
exactly.
both sides.
It goes back to when you're aware, you care. When you're aware of what somebody's going through,
Yeah,
there is more empathy to care about their situation
yeah,
and adapt or adopt or adjust accordingly. Because the more we treat each other as beautiful human beings and support each other through whatever we're going through, the more production is going to happen because
yeah,
people feel seen, heard, and valued.
Yeah.
Isn't that what everybody wants? To be seen, heard, and valued? And when a boss comes to you and says, instead of the fist on the table, you will do or you're out. Instead, oh, you're going through something right now. You know what? If you need to take a few days, go and do that. If you need to cut your time down or something else, or I can give this project to someone else right now if it's too much for you. And when you come back, when you're ready for the next one, then that person feels value. They're seen, they're heard, they're valued, and they're a hell of a lot going to be more loyal to you
Yeah.
and want to step up because you understood the situation they were going through. Now they're out of that, they're ready to come back and give you their all. And that is just the way we should treat each other, right? On every level.
It it works. Service never goes out of style.
Mm,
When you're there with somebody, it's like you said. I think that's been I shouldn't say I think. I know that was really the core of that early memory for me of like I'm not feeling seen, valued, or heard,
yes.
and that influenced every relationship in my life of I don't give 100% here, or I hold back something there, or I don't speak up for this here, or maybe I do speak up, but instead of me speaking at or speaking with, I'm speaking at, I'm screaming, or I'm yelling through my words, through my energy around it, and that's disconnecting me from that person. I lost an opportunity now to get their perspective because the mind was made up. I got it
Yeah.
right. You're completely wrong. You can yap all you want. It's not changing you're not getting past the wall.
Yeah.
I
Mm,
already believe what I believe. I'm just waiting for my opening to now shoot you down,
hmm.
and we don't get anywhere.
Nobody gets anywhere. What do we get? Animosity. Where does
Yeah,
that get us? It leads us to war. It leads us to hating each other. And but if you broke things down and looked at each other from the very core, we're all so much alike, right? We're all
yeah,
looking to be seen, heard, and valued. We all want to contribute. We've all got something valuable to contribute to the orchestra of life. We just want to be a part of it. Stop dividing us,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Put your hate somewhere else. Not here, thank you. And also, you think about it that anxiety of not feeling enough is so draining, but also hate is so draining. And
Yeah.
I have a scale of like a ruler because yes, I'm old, folks. Turned 70 in a couple of weeks. So I'm still on the scale of inches, not metric. So, your 6 to 12 inches are people that have chosen to be in a higher vibration, a higher frequency of
Right.
spirituality and love. Your 4 and 5s are people that have made the choice to leave behind and to walk forward in that embracement. Your 1 to 3s are piranhas. They're people that have chosen to live in the hate, the blame, the loathing, the opulence, and the greed. And their energy to live in that is so consuming. They go after the 4 and 5s
Right.
that are trying to uplift. And this is where you see somebody is doing wondrous work, a wonderful breakthrough, and suddenly they fall back. It's because of the people around them who suck the energy out of them. And now they're depleted again. And do they have the energy to get back up and fight again, or have they now become victim of the piranhas? And so it is very, very important of the people that we have around us, the things we listen to, the things that we watch, the people we have around us, the conversations, the things that we do for ourselves, because we need to be on that frequency that keeps us elevating up and not pulling us down.
Yeah. Yeah. And over time, it becomes easier. And I'll
Yeah.
say this is my, as we're recording this is 10 years of this journey for me of personal transformation work, self-help, whatever you want to call it, of being immersed in this space. And I tell my kids all the time, my daughter's 14, my son is 9. So they've essentially grown up in this, right?
Yeah.
This is what
Dad's
they know.
discovery.
Yeah, yeah, that's what they know. And even at the times they're like, Dad, like we don't want to listen to this podcast. Like this is stupid. The kids are kids.
Yeah.
And I just hold it in the back of my mind. I'm like, listen, you don't understand now. I'm saving you 30 years. And I didn't find out about this stuff till I was in my 30s.
Hmm.
I'm shortcutting your path to
Yes.
success by decades potentially. And I'm waiting for that moment. They're gonna be like, Dad, you were right. I have the confetti ready. I've got the mariachi band. I've got the whole TV thing set up. I'm like, hey, come here, come to this room. Like, let me do the snow angels with the confetti on the ground. But I joke, but I know what will happen.
Mm.
It's they have to go their path. They're
Yeah.
gonna experience what they experience. I will be there with them forever long I'm meant to be here in life. And hopefully they know that they're loved and that the path for them there's no right or wrong, right? This the moment they can give up this illusion of perfection, they'll
Oh,
be
yeah.
free.
Yes. There are perfect moments in life,
Yes.
but there is no such thing as perfection,
No.
right? There's perfect moments. Oh, this is just perfect. And
Right.
it's a moment and you hold it close, and every time you revisit it in a memory, ah, but
Yeah.
it is not this whole illusion of perfection. You know, I like the word flawsome. We've all got flaws and quirks, right?
Yeah.
When we embrace those, when we put ourselves back together, our cracks and our broken pieces, but back together with love in that flawsomeness, those particular flaws are our quirks. They make us what we are. They're the experience that we've had. But by putting ourselves back together with love, we can now hold that cup of love and fill it with much love as we possibly can so it can runneth over. And that's really what it is. As long as your children know, A, they're loved
Yeah.
to the very core, that you may not like some of their choices, but you'll always love them. And that your door is always open if they feel
Yeah.
they need to come back home, and that you're always ready to listen when they're ready to speak, right? Because
Yeah.
they're going to go through making all their own mistakes. That's how they learn. But if they know they can come to you without reprimand or slam doors or I told you so,
Right.
and
Yeah. Throwing it back in the face. Yeah. That's a
exactly. So
ugh.
that they will come to you and talk to you. And and it's painful as a parent to watch your kids make mistakes and go, but I made it for you. You didn't have to make it. But if they know they're loved and you've given them enough tools in life, again, going back to how to ask for help, right?
Yeah.
Teaching them to ask for help, even if it's not from you, from someone else, that it's okay to ask for help, then they'll always end up back on their feet.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a beautiful muscle to continue to exercise, right? These three statements, sometimes sentences are the most challenging, but the most free and the most liberating, right? Of I don't know,
Yeah.
um, I need help,
Hmm.
I'm sorry.
Hmm.
It's,
Yes.
right? These key things are the way to improve constantly and never end because the moment that I remove any uh, empathy or sense of I need to apologize or any if I close the door to other people's ideas, then nothing gets innovated because if I'm a planet of one, I'm good, but I can't achieve the greatness that I'm here
Yeah.
to do. Like there's
Yeah.
just no way, right? And even I've heard this from a mentor at times, about how many he would ask, how many people does it take to make a peanut butter jelly sandwich? And someone would be like, oh, it's just one. You have the knife. Like, well, did you make the knife? Like, were you a
Hmm.
blacksmith?
Hmm.
Did you package the bread? Did you slice it? Did you grind up the peanut butter and get the oil, right? So it took a lot of people
Yeah.
just to get you this sandwich. And I think about that with my phrase, I talk about building a bigger bubble. Like, yeah, it takes so much to do this one act, but if you're actually open to letting people do their gifts, right? There's somebody out there who's the best bag maker in the world.
Hmm.
There's somebody out there who can slice bread like nobody else. There's somebody out there who can make the best loaf of bread. There's somebody out there who's a great blacksmith, right? Let people do what they're here to
Yes.
do. It's not manipulation, it's not exploitation, it's leverage, it's
Mm.
collaborative creativity.
It's the orchestra.
There you go.
The instruments in the orchestra, right?
Bum,
Exactly.
bum,
Co
bum. Like,
Cohesively coming together. That's the whole
yeah,
part, right? And that's the thing is that what is our instrument? How do I learn to play it? And as a soloist, I can play it and play it well. However, when
Mm.
I cohesively come to an orchestra and we agree harmoniously to play together, we are transcending. We need people to come together with each of their own individual gifts and leave their egos at the door, but come
Yeah,
with their gifts, tune into each other. Watch the conductor bring out the essence of us and let it transcend.
yeah. Chris Rock had a great comedy special a couple years ago that came out on Netflix called Tambourine. And at the height and the crescendo of the performance, he's talking about relationships and about how one person is going to be the lead singer and the other person is going to be on tambourine. But when you play the tambourine, play it like you're the best. Play with
Yes.
the enthusiasm, right? You got to put the hip into it. You got to bang, right? Be that person. Don't be, he said, nobody wants to see an angry tambourine player. Just like there's no, I would be in the crowd like, are they having a bad day? But
Yeah.
when you see somebody who's
In
going
it.
at it,
Yeah.
right? You internally, you mirror that, like, yes, like, you
Yeah.
love to
Yeah.
see people in their greatness, in their essence, doing it, serving.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah. I've interviewed some musicians that have been around since the 60s. Joe Coleman from the Planters, for
Cool.
instance, and the life that he's had. I've interviewed him twice, and just the life that he's had as a musician. And it's a hard life to be a musician because you're only as good as your next gig, right?
Yeah.
And and he's played all over the world and had many obstacles like disco. When disco came, nobody was hiring musicians anymore, right? They were hiring the DJ for 200 a night instead of paying 1,000 for the group. So he just went overseas and played. But when you look at somebody like that and you look at, you know, 65, 67 when he came out and look at
Man.
the length of life that he's had doing what he loves, and yes, having to adapt, having to, conform. But now, how many people want to listen to him because the memories that they brought up, but also the soul. That's why I love interviewing musicians. They're already in their heart and their soul, right? They're already there. And
Right.
that nectar just pours out. And it's like, what an incredible the life to be able to do what you love for your entire career. And like, they're up in their 80s now and they're still performing
Yeah.
because they love it. And that's the thing, find something you love to do and you'll never work another day in your life.
Yeah. People at times when I'm working with them, they will say they're looking to find this thing called work-life balance. And I don't know if I subscribe to that thought because what is balance? Here I am having this conversation with you. That means some other part of my life is being ignored at this moment, right? And my kids are safe, they're in school, but this might be a time to be like, yeah, I want to be spontaneous and take them out for a lunch date from school, pick them up. But the choice, right, coming back to choice, the choice is, hey, we're gonna have this conversation, we're gonna transfer our energy together to make a difference for somebody else, to help somebody else in the world. And I think that's a powerful thing. And I think with the responsibility of it comes the recognition of, yeah, I can't do this all the time.
Yeah.
I've got to pick my pockets of high volume, high energy. It's funny when people meet me in person or maybe on a one-on-one, they're like, wow, you're a lot more calmer than you were at this place. Well, it's a different setting,
Yes.
right? If
Yeah.
I'm at an event, of course I'm hyped up, of course I'm energized, of course I'm like, this is the lights are on, it's game time, let's go, go, go. And might just be true. Like for the most part, I'm really a relaxed, kind of low key guy. So they're like, wait, what is this? Like these two things can be true at the same time, right? I can
Exactly. Yeah.
be energetic and vibrant and polarized and magnetic and also reserved, cool,
My
chill.
mother was an actress and she loved stage acting because she's always fed off the audience. And then there's TV acting where, it's kind of done piecemeal, lights, next scene, all of that, and a lot of waiting. Same with movies. And then there was the radio where you have to change the way you speak and
Right.
hold back because in on the stage you're projecting. in on the radio, you're holding back and minimizing. And when she used to do radio, I used to go in there and mime the other parts for her, so she had an audience, right? But it's the same if you're on stage, you need to project your energy, your voice, your enthusiasm. But if you brought that same projection to an arena like this, like a podcast, it would be too much.
Yeah,
Right, we have to tone it down accordingly so it's for the way for people to receive it. And not everybody knows that of how to adjust your volume, so to speak, for
yeah,
which each situation. And again, when you are in tune to who you are, then you feel the arena and what you need to be in that arena so much more acutely.
for sure. And I just want to back up because I kind of got off track, but now I'm back on track with where I started the point with the work-life balance. And from your friend and from other people who do powerful work, what I see is that they've converted work life into life's work.
Hmm.
When you're doing that, there's for me, right? If I'm speaking, if I'm coaching, these are gonna be the things I do till I'm physically unable to do them anymore.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. As I said, I turned 70 soon. As long as I can still hear, see, and talk, I'm going to be doing this. The oldest person I've interviewed was 92, and she
Whoa.
has her own TV station. She's still going. She took a new lover at 90. So, I mean, it's all to do with, chutzpah, how much you love something, how passionate, and what gets you up every day. All right.
Yeah,
And I think that's why I'm saying you're not working when you're doing something you love and you're making a difference and you're elevating humanity into that higher frequency, which we all desperately need to be in, the one of love, caring, compassion, consideration, cohesiveness, support. When we're up in that level, we're all better as a human race. And when
yeah,
you have an instrument that can be a part of it, you want to play that instrument every day because that instrument is something that is making a difference, one tune at a time, right?
yeah, yeah. But I'm speaking. This is my time to be the lead front man, right?
Mhm.
I'm Robert Plant. I'm Chris Cornell. I'm like these folks are like, okay, you hear the voice, they stand on the stage and okay, you understand this is what it is, right? And then we have all these other tools, right? If it's me creating music, if it's me just being a father, and I say just like
Yeah.
that. So yes, yeah, that throwaway thing. No, me being a father and a husband, that's my instrument of love, of
Hmm.
compassion, of presence, of acknowledgement, and transfer that to to my loved ones, and then they go into the world hopefully and share that, right? If I'm feeling good in the morning, there's a good chance that I'm smiling, right?
Yeah.
There's a good chance that if I'm in the store with somewhere, I'm smiling, right? I think of it like Buddy the Elf. I would joke about this all the time. Like, smiling is my favorite. I think that's one of the best lines in movie history because
Mhm.
it's just this joy you can't contain.
Right.
And and you can see it, right? He's in the quote unquote the real world now. He's not in
Hmm.
his silo, his bubble of Santa's workshop. He's in this bigger space now, and people are like, "This is weird. Like, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with this guy?
Mm.
Like, get be us. You have to
Yeah.
adapt and similarly become us now." Ugh.
Going
And
back to your guy in the office who got cut off and bitched about it all day long,
yeah,
right? That kind of thing could be just as contagious if you're resonating on that low vibration. But when you're
yeah,
around somebody that smiles, a smile begets a smile.
yeah.
Yeah, it's very hard to watch somebody who's smiling at you, with their eyes, with them, and they're smiling at you. And it's like there was a video of a
Ugh.
guy in a sub car, and he's looking at his phone and he's laughing. Nobody knows what he's laughing at. In fact, he had nothing on. He's just laughing.
Yeah,
And then everybody starts laughing at him laughing, and everybody's elevated. Smiles do the same thing. They elevate us. So
yeah.
turn that frown upside down. So the book is out now,
Yes, it
and it's
is.
it's got its legs and it's out there. And what chapter are you in? One, two, three, four, five. Where are you?
Number one.
Number one.
Chat.
Great. There you
Yeah.
go. There you go.
Yeah.
Great.
It's been an honor to I didn't realize that was gonna happen. The publisher kind of tagged me on the shoulders, like, hey, by the way, we decided to put you as number one. I think you have a great kickoff to it. And I was like, oh my goodness, like, whoa. And just it's full circle, right? From the kid who
Hmm.
wasn't in the picture, ignored, you know, for whatever reason, right? Not neglected, not
Yes.
dismissed, but
Just
processed
didn't
it that
feel a
way.
part of.
Yeah, process it that way. Here I am,
Yeah.
like the lead thing, right? The first, for the most part, traditionally, most people are going to read in order. So I'm the first thing they're seeing. That comes with some weight, that comes with some heaviness, and also some excitement of like, hey, if you love this, you're gonna love the other chapters too. I've been reading some of the other authors inside of the book, and their stories have been unbelievable. So I'm just I'm grateful, proud to be attached to something like this and have my name out there. And maybe this will be the only thing I ever write, which is not true because I'm writing things right now.
Yeah,
But
exactly. Got the bug now.
yes, exactly. Yeah, it's like Spider-Man. I'm definitely it's a symbiote now, but it's yeah, it's an honor to be attached to something like this and feel good about this kind of project. And like you said, this is the introduction. I got my toe in the water, like I'm kind of waist deep now. I'm like, all right, this
Yeah,
feels good. I'm ready to go full submerge,
exactly.
Michael Phelps, go for the gold, all that.
Well, that's the beauty of an anthology is like, as I said, not everybody's ready to write that book or understands the discipline behind, contributing. So,
Ooh.
kind of getting your fit, right, exactly.
Hey.
Getting your feet wet, in doing it in anthology, but also writing with other great people and being proud to be a part of something that you know is really going to serve. It is that invitation. Well, if I can write this, I've got more in me that wants to come out. And that's the reason why I call them podcast books, because we do at least two podcasts around each book, each person. There's their why story and then their chapter story. We do two summits, and of course the book is there. So it's whether people read the book and listen to the podcast, or podcasts and read the book. It's
Yeah.
about expanding the knowledge, expanding the wisdom in any which way that we can. And some people still love to read, thankfully, right? Because in really which way it comes, but reading is you're digesting in a different way. And I always say to people, have podcasts, as people have book clubs, I say have a podcast club. Listen to a podcast together and then come together with your notes. And you got this out of it, I got this out of it, so got that out of it. Now you've got a rounder picture where you can
Mm.
put it all together, right? So it's please talk about the book. Please, if you're excited about the book, you've read it, and the best thing is picket fence. Talk over the picket fence and let everybody know that you've really enjoyed something. It really had an effect on your life. Share, share, share. Share the wisdom, share the knowledge, share the excitement, please. We've become so much about
Mm.
into myself. No, open up and expand and share the good experiences because Lord knows we damn well need them.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And like I said, it's your gift to the world. It's an opportunity to, and this for anybody who's watching or listening, if you've had a thought in your mind, well, I want to write something, but I don't know if I can. I don't know if I have a story worth sharing. I will say from my own personal experience, I didn't think that I had anything worth sharing or anything of value for a long time. This book awakened a lot of that up. I mean, I was already present to that, but slowing down, putting on paper, putting into words, trying to craft a story that people are reading and experiencing at the same time, right? Is through my words. It's a cathartic process. And as Sarah said, it's a discipline,
Mm-hmm.
but leaders are readers, leaders
Mm-hmm.
are teachers, leaders are those who can create a story, craft something that is polarizing, that is expressive, and that allows other people to see themselves inside of it. And that's what I did my best to do within this chapter, and then the other things that I continue to create. It's it's uh it's a gift for me, right? It's fun
Mm-hmm.
for me, but it's also my gift to the world.
Right. And when we take that journey of life in becoming who we are, that self-discovery, discovering our wisdom, and now it is our obligation to share it. But it isn't just an obligation, it's an honor to share it because we
Yeah.
don't take this journey of life. and become who we are at whatever stage of life and take it lightly. We know where we've been. We know what we've struggled through. We know what we've learned,
Yeah.
and we want to share that. We want people to avoid the Grand Canyon. You're going to get potholes, but we want you to avoid the Grand Canyon, right? And have the skills and the tools and the enthusiasm to face whatever it is you're facing and know that you can come through it the other side.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's all about that. So, how do people get the book? Also, how do people get hold of you, and what are you particularly offering them?
Yeah, for sure. So try to do this in order. This beautiful book right here, Journey of Riches, The Power of Self-Discovery, it is available on Amazon. We've gotten some great traction right now. We've hit number one in the US and Canada and in Brazil and Germany. So it's different countries. So I'm proud to say that this is an international bestseller at the moment. So go to
Right.
Amazon, look up that, and you'll be able to order the paperback or the Kindle ebook version. If you want to connect with me, you can find me at speakeralexdumas.com. I'm on LinkedIn as well as Alex Dumas. So I'm a real person. There's no bots. If you message me or direct message me or whatever, I will respond or leave a voice note. So you pay attention to the voice.
Yes.
This is me in full. It's not an AI bot or anything like that. And the things I'm working on right now, I'm uh, continuing to speak. So if you are an event professional looking for opportunities to share stage and talk about the book or talk about helping leaders with their communication skills and leadership skills. So if you're in the Southeast, North Carolina, South Carolina, DMV area, I'd love to contribute to your audience.
So I've also got Alex Dumascoaching.com. Is that one
Yeah,
still?
yeah,
Okay, so
that's still active too. So that's for my coaching services. So anybody who wants to work with me potentially one-on-one or bring me in for their team group coaching, I'm available for that as well.
and of course you have a podcast, which is
Yeah.
Love, Serve, Care.
Yes, my daily podcast. So we're here in September. That will turn 4 years old in November, which is amazing to you talk about dedication and discipline. It's a daily 3-minute podcast, and it's essentially my audio library, and it's
Mhm.
different pieces of things that happen in my life, conversations I have, the inspiration I draft from somewhere, and hopefully connecting that to your business growth or some strategy you can apply.
And then I see that some of the proceeds of this book goes to an orphanage in Bali, Indonesia.
Yes, that's correct. So the Amazon royalties will go to Jules Children's Home in Bali, Indonesia. It's a like you just said, it's an orphanage. So if you read my story or
Mhm,
follow me on stage, you've heard me talk about this several times on the podcast about building the bigger bubble. So looking at the bigger picture, how do we help?
mhm.
How do we live through service? And I do my best to, no matter what it is, to embody that, to make sure that I'm leading by example as well of donating, making sure that other people who are ignored, who are just forgotten, that we remember them, that they know that they're part of this as well.
When we support each other, no matter where we are in the world, we're supporting um, our global energy, and we need our global energy to rise up. Uh, we are tired of wars. We're tired of division. We're tired of constant hate rhetoric out there and the negativity. We are seeking positivity. We are seeking a reason to get up every day, a life to live there where we feel our contribution is really met. And that comes from us deciding to rise up to a higher level. And the more we do it within ourselves and the more, again, care and share and become, the better off we are as a human race. And when we care for other people in whichever way, whether it is financial, whether it is physical support, whether it is verbal support, whatever it is, we are um, illuminating and building up that energy that is so desperately needed. We are the problem in the world, but we're also the solution. And again,
Yeah,
it goes back to choice. Do you want to ignite your heart and soul into becoming that illumination, that light, that essence that really does shed possibilities on people? Or do you want to be that Debbie Downer, that negative, that finds something wrong with everything and is refusing to do anything about it. Because quite honestly, we're tired of that. We're tired of hearing about it, reading about it, seeing it, feeling it, or knowing anybody about it. We really want to feed the people that are really wanting to elevate and support the elevation. And again, a choice. You can either come out of your Debbie Downer and rise up, or you can stay there and be miserable with everybody that's there. But life is a choice. And if you can light your heart and soul and spirit, you become the solution that we all need and that you need in your own life. So thank you for being back here with us again and sharing your chapter. And I look forward to your next book that I know you're writing. You've got to come back and share that as well, because now you've got the writing bug. And it's interesting when you do get this, you realize how much you do have to share. When you
Yeah,
start putting it down on paper and you go like how much more there is that needs to come out, that it's another avenue of you sharing and illuminating and inviting people to meet their own potential. And so, yeah, keep on writing, keep on
thank you.
going. Okay.
Thank you.
And to everyone else out there, remember that maybe it's a story in you. Maybe you want to be part of an anthology, but whether you just write a blog or you just write in your diary, but it's look to your past to see what's holding you back. Love and nurture that inner child. Let go of that child and yep, let it go so that you can move forward. Learn from it and move forward. That's what the lessons are for. Not to constantly repeat the lesson, but to learn from it and move forward. Take what you've learned and apply. Listen, learn, and apply. And so until next time, folks, bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Just go to the podcast tab at the top there and you will see all the many genres and all 3,000 shows ready for your listening. We are here to serve you, to help you on your journey of life, and we know that through inspiration, it begets invitation. We are supported by you, the listeners, and those that we interview. Anything that you can spare us in donation would be greatly accepted, and we do hope that you enjoy the next show.